Welcome back to the Philosophy for Philistines channel, where we attempt to explain the inexplicable. I wrote the following because we're coming up on 2 years of the authorities attempting to mitigate the crisis around the pandemic with no signs of abating. So, I've written the following thoughts, particularly because last night Facebook chose in its infinite wisdom to hide many of my posts and tell me that I've been moved down in ranking so that it's not likely that many of you will see what I'm posting to Facebook. In light of that, I've written the following. The foundational principle of Western liberal democracy rests upon open discourse and debate. This is particularly important when our elected leaders and our appointed bureaucrats are adopting policies, the consequences of which will affect the very nature of society and how we govern ourselves. Over these past 2 years, since the emergence of COVID-19, world leaders throughout the entire democratic West have suspended normal parliamentary procedure and civil liberties under the guise of caring for public safety. The real danger has always laid in the silencing and censoring of open discourse, along with the open scientific inquiry needed to mitigate the pandemic, while doing as little damage to social order and the economy as possible. Sadly, the diametric opposite has occurred. With the help of big tech, global leaders have engaged in a campaign of fear-mongering and censoring which would make the propagandists of the world's worst totalitarian regimes of the 20th century green with envy. Worse, this campaign of fear and censoring has taken place while cooperating with CCP-led communist China, the very source of the pathogen, as well as its purported cure, since Pfizer maintains a bioresearch team where they developed mRNA vaccine technology at ground zero of the outbreak, namely the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The most horrifying aspect of this, at least to me, is how willingly so many of you have gone along with the official narrative, the truth of which has repeatedly proven not only to be false, but pathologically so. In the 20th century alone, we sacrificed the vitality and potential of more than 2 generations of young Canadians to put an end to such tyranny in Europe. Yet, we have become like dogs, returning to eat our own vomit, learning nothing from the lessons of the past, particularly the necessity of maintaining the sanctity and purity of limited constitutional democracy based upon the pursuit of truth and justice. This has happened under the influence of postmodernism and neo-Marxism, which has left us void of a true north to our moral compass. If we are unable to recover the sacred traditions of the Westminster parliamentary system by restoring the rule of law under a functional parliament, we might as well inscribe Ichabod on Parliament's walls beside all the other sacred texts which have been inscribed in stone, because the glory of the Lord has departed forever from Canada's most important institution. From the New King James Version. Then she named the child Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel." God save Canada. You are in deep need of repentance and turning away from this wickedness. These lies and this censoring has done nothing to mitigate this crisis or get to the root cause of why we find ourselves in this dire and desperate situation. God bless you all. Here's something to think and pray about.